Can you believe that it has been 8 years, more than 8 years now, since Donald Trump first announced that he was running for president of the United States? I remember standing in my kitchen. The TV was playing in the next room. And I had always wanted Donald Trump to run. I like the idea of a business person running for president. I liked Ross Perot back in the day before he kind of went, crazy on us, right? I like the idea of a business person running the country. I'd always wanted Trump to run, and he always kind of teased it, a little bit, maybe he's in, maybe he's not. It's like, okay, he's not really going to do it. But then I heard it announced, yes, he was in the race. He was coming down the escalator. He was in the race. And I got excited. I wasn't really that interested in the race that time. I thought, well, maybe Jeb Bush, it's kind of so, right? Or maybe Ted Cruz. I like Ted Cruz better. But I really wasn't that involved in it. But when Trump came down the escalator, I said, man, I could get behind this. I'm excited. And I started to have ideas and think about ways that I could help Trump to get elected. I didn't have a network in politics. I was an executive recruiter for 30 years. I'd never done radio or TV or any of these things. And I was thinking to myself, now, how can I have a voice out there? And I tried to call into the Rush Limbaugh show. And I could never get past the business signal. I didn't even get to the screener. I could never get past the business signal. That's not going to work. I tried to call into Hannity. That's not going to work. I felt so frustrated. I got all these ideas. I want to share. I want to have a voice. And so I said, well, you know what? I'll go on Twitter. And I thought, I've had like 10 followers. I said, maybe 10 people will hear what I have to say. Maybe not, but at least I'll get it off my chest and share these ideas. Well, I've always had a gift for language and metaphorical language and explaining things, abstract ideas in a way that people can get them and understand them. Like, oh, yeah, I get that. Now I understand that. And I think that comes from being 30 years as a headhunter. When you're a headhunter or executive recruiter and you're calling a high-level person, most of the people a place had at least 10 years experience, top 10 MBAs, making hundreds of thousands, more than that, millions of dollars a year. So these were people that were not easily fooled or sold, okay? You had to sell them without them thinking they were being sold. At the end of the day, they had to believe it was their idea, right? Because they're making a career change here. They're not going to change careers, change their whole family just because Bill Mitchell talked them into something, right? So you really got to do an excellent job of helping them to make that decision. And that all starts with that first phone call. And you have that first 2 or 3 minutes on the phone, and you got to win them in that first 3 minutes. And you got to have those magic words, those metaphors, that imagery to win them over. And I just learned that. I got muscle memory on that. And I took that to my Twitter account. And it just blew up almost instantaneously. I had 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 followers, 30,000 followers. Because, like I said, I used metaphorical language. It was entertaining. I did analysis of the polls. People seemed to like that. I could understand what was happening with oversampling the Democrats in the polls. I was funny occasionally. So, it just took off. And nobody had ever asked me to be on TV or radio before, but what happened was that all these other podcasters that were popular at the time wanted me to be on their show because they thought, well, all of his followers will come and listen to him, right? It's like you're a radio host or talk show host. Yeah, let me get the guy with 10 million followers that all listen to the show, right? So that happened, and I kind of was a sidekick on a bunch of shows. And I kept thinking the whole time I was sitting there waiting for my chance to talk, I'm like, I would rather be in charge of this thing. I want to be the guy making the decisions on, what to talk about and who gets to talk and when they talk. And so I started my own show, first a radio show, just like a talking show. And people said, no, you should really do video. It's like, okay. And I did a video, and that took off. And we ended up doing, like, literally, I'm not kidding, on Periscope and all these different channels, like billions of plays, not just millions or hundreds of millions, billions of plays of the show over the years. And now here we are. Fast forward to today. We're 42 days away from the election. And this is, I say, it's the most monumental election of our time. It really is this time. Because the Democrats aren't hiding anymore. They're just going full-blown Marxists at this point, and they don't care. Right? We've got open borders. They used to pretend, we want to protect the borders. They're not even pretending that anymore. They used to pretend, we don't want full-term abortion. They're not even pretending that anymore. We want to protect the Constitution. They're not even pretending that anymore. They're just full in, all in, going for it. This is their moment. And if we don't turn them back, America will be lost. And I'm not speaking out of school here. You know, Kamala Harris just announced today that one of the first things she's going to do is she gets president and she gets a Senate majority. She doesn't even need a majority. She just needs a 50-50 split and the vice president breaks the tie, right? If she gets a Senate majority with the vice president or a tie, that they're going to get rid of the filibuster. And people don't realize, well, you know, you need 60 votes to get rid of the filibuster. No, you don't. The filibuster is not in the Constitution. It's just a rule. And all you need to do to get rid of the rule is just have a simple majority to get rid of the rule. So the filibuster is gone. So while it takes 60 votes to overcome a filibuster and get to cloture, it doesn't say it takes 60 votes to get rid of the filibuster. You can just, simple majority, just get rid of it. It's called the nuclear option. They've done it, you know, over judicial appointments and so on and so forth in the past, but they could get rid of it completely. And if not for Manchin and Sinema this last time, they would have done it already. So what's Kamala Harris? And she says, yeah, I'm all for that. What's Kamala Harris going to do without a filibuster? If she has the House, if she has the Senate, and she has the veto pen. Number one, they're going to pass a law of the land, unlimited abortion rights up till birth. Terrific. But they will make that the law of the land. They probably also will tell any doctors that are getting, you know, any government money whatsoever that if you don't perform these abortions, that we're cutting you off. You have a lot of doctors that are, you know, quitting the business because they feel like their consciences are violated with that. They are going to pack the courts. They've already said, listen, we're going to put 14 judges on the Supreme Court. They'll put, you know, they'll put 5 more liberal judges on the court. You'll have a liberal court. And they will change everything in their favor. And they can't do it with, you know, 14, they'll do it with 20. They will take California's election laws, where you have, you know, ballot box stuffing, you have the harvesting of ballots, unlimited harvesting of ballots. You have, you know, unlimited registering to vote for illegal aliens when they get their driver's license. They will make that the law of the land. And people say, oh, no, wait. Voting is states' rights. No, it's not. No, it's not. You need to read the Constitution. Voting is states' rights unless the federal government passes a law, and then that's the law you follow. So the federal government could pass national election laws. Unlimited abortion on demand. National election laws. They will pass complete amnesty for all illegal aliens. They'll make them citizens overnight, all voting citizens overnight. It is that serious, folks. It is that serious what we're looking at here. And then you watch Kamala Harris on the trail. You know, you watch her on Oprah Winfrey, and you're like, you know, how can anyone vote for this woman? You know, she just is, she talks in circles. It's all words. They don't care. They don't care because it's tribalism, folks. You have the Republican tribe or the conservative tribe, and you have the Democrat tribe, and then you have all the people in the middle that just want stuff to work, and they're trying to figure it out. Trump is winning men going away. He's got a problem with women. Why? Well, because, you know, it's his gruff exterior. You know, he's a great guy. We love him on the MAGA side. But I have had many women over the years that when I've had an opportunity to talk to them about politics. I remember I was, you know, at this one polling place, and this little old lady was standing out there in the parking lot, and she recognized me from TV or whatever. And she said, "You're Bill Mitchell, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Listen, I want you to tell Donald Trump to stop being so mean because I love his policies, but I can't stand the way he acts." Now, you and I might look at that and say, oh, come on, that's silly. I'm telling you, folks, there's a lot of the ladies that feel that way. Maybe not you, but you're not everybody. There's a lot of the ladies that we could win that feel that way. So Trump has a little bit of a problem with the women. It's not just abortion, it's the gruff exterior sort of thing, and that's good as far as getting your bona fides as being a fighter and so on and so forth. But it does have a little bit of a downside to it. And he's doing very, very well with men. If Donald Trump could win the women's vote, the majority of the women vote, he would win like every elect. He would win 50 states. And so that's what we're going up against here, folks. We're in a fight. We're in a battle. But there is good news that's coming out. Now, we hear all these polls every day. Oh, Kamala Harris has had 5 points. She's had 6 points. It's ridiculous. Let me talk about these pollsters like Morning Consult, Ipsos, any of these pollsters that use a thing called an internet panel poll. I made a post about that earlier today. Let me see if I can find my own post here. I could go back to my photographic memory, but it's running out of batteries today, so I'll go ahead and read to you from the post. Let me find this here. But what an internet panel basically does is, let's see, what an internet panel basically does is they gather people together, and it's sort of like a volunteer thing. You opt in, be a part of this internet panel, and they use that as their poll. And the reason why pollsters use it is it's cheap and easy, and you can, Morning Consult just turned out a poll today said it had 7,200 likely voters, and people are like, oh my God, that's the biggest sample I've ever seen. Yeah, it's a freaking internet poll. You might as well do a poll on X. It's an internet poll, and these internet polls, the opt-in polls, they always favor Kamala. Why? Because the people that are opting in that want to, these aren't people that are being randomly called on the phone. These are people that are opting in to the poll, and these are, tend to be much more activist type people and so on and so forth. And this is the problem with the poll. And these are always leaning, 5 or 6 points to the left. And every time you get a poll like that, let me get, I really want to educate everybody on this. I can't find my own post. Let me, internet panel polling. Okay. This AI is amazing. I don't know how it does it. I mean, literally, just as a test of AI, I went on there and I said, okay, imagine that I'm Mark Twain and I'm writing a short story. And I want to write the short story. It's a love story between a cat, an alley cat, and a junkyard dog. Write me, a 4-page story on that. And literally in 5 seconds, it's like the entire story in Mark Twain's, energy and way of speaking. I was just like, this is scary. This is scary what it can do. Okay, let's talk about some of the problems with internet panels as far as polls. Number one, sampling bias. Internet polls rely on self-selection or pre-recruited panels, meaning the people who participate may not represent the general population. This can lead to overrepresentation of certain demographics like younger, tech-savvy individuals, older people. I bought my mom a computer, and she would never use it because she was afraid if she touched the mouse, it would electrocute her. So it's going to tend to be younger people, and younger people are going to tend to go left. Underrepresentation of older, less tech-savvy individuals. Non-response bias. Some people may or may not may be more likely to ignore or decline to participate in online polls, particularly certain groups that are less politically engaged. This skews results by disproportionately representing more politically active or engaged individuals because, you and I love politics, right? We're super into this. The average person is not. Just get into a crowded elevator sometime this week and say, hey, who wants to talk about the election? And everybody's like, oh, I don't want to talk about the election. Most people would rather have a hot needle stuck in their eye than talk about politics. And so the problem with these panels is you tend to get the people that are very much the enthusiasts, the tribalists that are getting in there. And those people vote, but so do the people that don't care about politics. You're not getting them on one of these internet panels. Let's see, missing opinions from less representative or marginalized people. Panel conditioning, frequent respondents. In panel surveys can become more politically knowledgeable and opinion over time. This creates a bias where regular participants may not reflect the opinions of those who are less informed or involved in politics. Learned behaviors where panelists adjust the answers based upon prior questions or expectations. Question framing, internet panel polling, how questions are framed can significantly affect responses. Problems here include leading questions or unclear phrasing that guide respondents toward a particular answer. The absence of real-time clarifications that would be available in a face-to-face or a phone interview. Limited access to diverse respondents. Online polls can struggle to recruit individuals from low-income, rural, or elderly populations who may have limited internet access. This can result in a narrow sample that doesn't fully reflect societal diversity, over-reliance on individuals who are already overrepresented online. Security and fraud, you can have bots responding to these. We know about bots, right? Weighting issues, polling companies often adjust results using statistical weighting to better represent population demographics. Inaccurate weighting can exacerbate bias if initial assumptions about demographics are incorrect. Heavy reliance on weighting can introduce new errors that reduce the reliability of the poll. Here's the thing. What happens is, you've seen a number of these polls come out, these left-wing pollsters, where I've seen 12 and 15-point Democrat oversamples in the poll, in the raw data. And then they reweight it to be like a 2 or 3 point lead for the Democrats, which is still wrong, still too much. But they reweight it down to that. Well, if your initial poll had 12 or 15% more Democrats in it, it's just a bad poll. You just can't reweight that and make it all okay. It's not going to work. If you're actually doing a random phone poll, I say 800 to 1,000 people, random phone poll, you should get pretty close to what the U.S. population is thinking. That's how polls work, how statistics work. You don't get that with this. You're doing all this heavy reweighting. Low response rates. Here's the thing. They say that video killed the radio star. Well, caller ID killed the polling star. Because if I get a call at dinner time and it's a unknown number, or it's one of these 1-888 numbers or something like that, or some marketing company or something like that, I'm not going to answer it because I don't want to be bothered by some telemarketing thing. I'll probably get, 50 telemarketing calls on my cell phone a day. I swear you fill out one of these forms online to get some information on something and they just sell all your data to everybody else. So who's responding to these calls? Well, in order for a poll to be scientifically random, you need over a 90% response rate. And you used to get that with landlines and before you had caller ID because everybody would just pick up the phone, right? Phone rings, everybody picks up, hey, how's it going? You don't get that now. You have less than 6% now. So even phone polls are not scientifically random anymore. And these internet polls, these internet panel polls are even worse. And, Morning Consult Ipsos, this is what they use. This is why, Kamala Harris always has her biggest leads on because they're fake. Fake, 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 fake. And, you want to see the crosstabs on Morning Consult? You can't even see them. You can't even see, what's the party ID sample, what's the party ID? You can't even see it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable polling. Okay. Well, this is shocking. Well, maybe not to me, but maybe to some other people. Gallup. Who's Gallup? Well, Gallup's one of the oldest pollsters around. Gallup they do this poll where they're always evaluating who's got the party ID advantage. And over the years, it's remarkable how accurate they have been with whoever has the lead in the party ID, that person tends to win that race. And when the party ID gets very close, the race is also very close. It's like I said, it's very tribal in America. So Democrats have often had the lead. I think when Obama was elected, people were so sick of George Bush. I mean, the Democrats had just a monstrous. I think I do have this here in my Twitter feed. Democrats had a monstrous party ID lead. Let's see back here. Yeah, it was huge back in 2008. Big. And but right now, here he is, 42 days before the election. According to Gallup, we've just moved to a R+3. R+3. Now remember, most of these polls that you're seeing are D+5. Gallup is saying the electorate is R+3. And of course, Scott Presser and all these guys you keep hearing about, all these states going red, super red, so on and so forth, all these new registrations. You're like, how come, we still have a D+5 sample in these polls, D+8 sample in these polls, when you keep hearing all these Republicans coming online? Why is that? Well, because they're lying to you about that. These are fake. The polls are fake. They're propaganda. They're fake. And right now, according to Gallup, we are now in an R+3 cycle. If America is really R+3, Donald Trump is going to win this election going away. Because remember, a national poll is really a popular vote poll. It's not polling electoral votes, because places like California and places like New York are 2-to-1 Democrat typically. But they can only win the electoral votes of those states once. So what happens is that blue states tend to be more blue than red states are red, but there are more red states. So just so long as you win that state by a little bit, by one vote, you get all those electoral votes. So even if Democrats win California and New York or maybe Illinois by 2-to-1, they still only get those electoral votes one time. And that's not reflected in the national polling. That's why Hillary Clinton was leading in the national polls going into the end, and she actually basically hit her numbers on the popular vote. But unfortunately for her, she did not win the Electoral College. Donald Trump did. So this is really, really interesting and good news from Gallup. You can check my feed for that. One of the things we're doing in my social media feed is, I'm doing my running commentary during the day, but we're also sort of consolidating news articles for you and giving our spin on it, and then linking back to the article if you want to read it. Now, technically, if I'm on maximum reach on my post, I'm not supposed to put that link in there because X doesn't like, oh, well, I don't care. They're not letting that many people see my post anyway. So I don't care. I just want you to be able to have access to the most information. I'll give you a paragraph or two of where I've consolidated the information from the get the gist of it. But if you want to go more, you can go more. Okay. So, I lost my train of thought. Okay. And we're talking about the Gallup thing here. Okay. So with Gallup, what they're saying is, okay. I was talking about, I remember now, this is what happens when you get to be 64. You got a million thoughts, they all come, together at one time. Okay. So on our feed, what we're doing is we're consolidating these stories for you and also creating a graphic. We call it an infographic that sort of gives you the picture or embeds a video or so on and so forth. So it's really easy for you to get a newsy sort of feel. And this is one of the things that Elon Musk has said. He says, I want X to become like the news source. Well, that's what my feed is. So if you want to get the news that's breaking of the day, all the hot stories, I'm looking at this stuff all day long just to get ready for my show. So, go ahead and just check my feed a couple times a day. There's a very good chance that you will not see my posts unless you check my feed. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. I don't know who it is at X that doesn't like me, but right now, I think about, I calculated the other day that 99.7% of my followers typically don't see my post. Isn't that crazy? Why? I don't know. One day, maybe I'll find out. But anyway, you just got to keep fighting. You don't give up, right? Because you never know who's going to see that post that's going to make a difference and you're going to still be effective. So my response to that is just keep making better posts, and hopefully one of these days they'll turn off whatever it is they've turned on and we can really get some great exposure out there. So anyway, this is great news on Gallup. And if it's true, and they take this poll very seriously. This is based on thousands and thousands and thousands of interviews. This isn't some, internet panel they've done. These are actual interviews that they're doing. And to come up with R+3, that's huge. I mean, it's never hit that. Like in decades since 1992, it's never hit that before. It got close in 2000. Let's see. It got close in 2004. And and just the streams crossed. The streams crossed just this time. So that's great news for us on Gallup. Already talked about Kamala Harris ending the filibuster. Going to be a disaster. This was amazing. Fox News' Sandra Smith embarrassed a Kamala Harris lackey, makes her implode after asking pointed questions about Harris's plan to lower prices. So what happened was she had this talking head for Kamala on their show. And the host said, well, what's her plan for bringing down prices? And she said, well, if you just go to the website, you'll see that Kamala is, planning on, stopping a corporation from gouging and so on and so forth. And the host was like, you think that's what all this inflation is about, is in just gouging? He says, is this corporate gouging going on right now? And the talking head says, well, I don't know, because I'm not privy to that information. It's like, well, you just said it's happening, so you don't know? I don't know that it's happening. And the host was like, yeah, but these grocery companies only make like a 3% profit. I think there's a lot of gouging going on here. I think the problem is that, all the prices all along the supply chain have gone up. I remember last night I sent out for a gallon of milk and some chips. Strange combination. I wasn't craving milk and chips. I just, those were things that I was out of, and I wanted some. I got one bag of chip, 1 gallon of milk. It was $16. It's like, oh my gosh, it was crazy. And I saw somebody posted the other day on there, and they had bought a steak. It was like a 1 pound steak, and it was 30 something. I mean, completely out of control. Completely out of control. And so this woman got very flustered with with Sandra Smith, and was saying, listen, as a woman, I don't like you picking on me. You're picking on me. You're talking over me. She's like, just answer the questions. See, Kamala Harris has no answer for inflation. If Kamala Harris had an answer for inflation, if Joe Biden had an answer for inflation, we never would have had it in the first place. Donald Trump had 1.4, I think 1.5% average inflation his entire presidency. That's much. I mean, the target is like 2.2%, 1.5% average. Record low gas prices. You could afford a house. And the thing is, he kept inflation low and interest rates low. Young families could afford a house. Now, but who can afford a house now? You can't. It's crazy. It's crazy. We bought a house as an investment back in 2008 during the real estate crisis, a foreclosure. And I think we paid like $140,000 for it. And we recently sold it for like $460,000. It's crazy. What's happened with houses. I mean, people just can't do it. And the rents are going up. When I was living in Miami, I had a beautiful place down there on Brickell Avenue, overlooking Brickell, amazing views and all this. Okay. So it was like the Emerald City out there. And I think it was on like the 43rd floor or something. And when I first moved in there, the apartment had been a model home before. And so they wanted to lease it real quickly. And I got a good deal on it. It was like $3,000 a month, something like that, for just a 1 bedroom. But they were big 1 bedrooms, and we were talking heart of Miami. So that was a good deal for them. And I locked in a long lease because I knew that was a very good deal. And I knew I wanted to stay there. So at the end of my lease, they sent me a notice, do you want to, extend your lease? And the rent was $6,000 a month. It's like, what? $6,000 a month for this 1 bedroom. I could get like a $1.5 million house for that. Yeah. Well, we got a 6-month waiting list of people that are just waiting to get into this apartment. It's like, well, maybe I should sell my lease to some if they're that desperate to get into these apartments for $6,000 a month. Unbelievable. Yeah, but prices have just gone up, and this is the problem with inflation, folks. Joe Biden promised, I'm not going to have any taxes on the middle class. Inflation is a tax on the middle class. You can't escape it. It's a regressive tax. The broker you are, the more it taxes you. And then if you lose your job because of inflation, because companies are going out of business left and right, and Kamala Harris is like, oh, we've had record numbers of people starting new businesses in my term. It's like, no, you've had record numbers of companies going bankrupt. Just because somebody fills out a piece of paper to start the business doesn't mean they're going to be successful. You've had record numbers of people going bankrupt. They're not prospering. If you and they're talking about raising minimum wages and so on and so forth, and then all these restaurants close down. If you lose your job, that's 100% tax because you have no income at all anymore, right? It's just absolutely madness. So that was great to see that lady get humiliated there. They have no answers. Now, the core Democrats don't care if they have no answers. It's tribal. But the people in the middle, that's where we got to win this, folks, is the people in the middle. Scott Presser, I've had him on the show several times. The guy's a hero. Hardest working man in politics out there registering people to vote. We just said Republicans just flipped this crucial swing state county and registration for the first time in 50 years. Thank you. I believe that was in Pennsylvania. Luzerne County, located in northeastern Pennsylvania, now has more registered Republicans than Democrats. Once again, Scott Presser. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Yeah, so we're so grateful for him. New York Times, Siena College poll put Trump back on top in three big swing states. So good for that. Ukrainian President Zelensky is out there openly. He flies in on a military plane, taxpayer dollar. He's out there at this factory signing the mortar shells, the rocket shells. He's saying, oh, yeah, well, vote for Kamala. We can't have Trump in there. Well, of course he doesn't want Trump because Trump's going to end the damn war. Trump is going to make him sit down and negotiate with Russia and bring it into this war. And all of those big fat checks that I guarantee you they're skimming off a lot. And I guarantee you they're sending a lot of that back to the DNC. They're using ghost donors through Act Blue. Do you think that Kamala Harris really raised like $350 million in 1 month? Hell no, of course not. This is all money coming back from Ukraine through ghost donors. You have these little old lady in Seattle who gave $50 once to Act Blue. And all of a sudden, the FEC has her giving, $500,000 8,000 times to all these different things, little small donations. She's like, I do it. I didn't do this. These are ghost donors. And it's laundering that money from Ukraine and from overseas back into the system. There's no way that Kamala Harris is raising all this money. And they say, oh, Kamala Harris is visiting like $5 million more a day or something like that than Trump. Well, of course, she's got all this monopoly money to throw around. Unfortunately, she's advertising, she's got a lot of money to spend on advertising, a 72 Pinto. that's got the floor's rusted out on, there's only so many pictures that you want to see, right? So, but it's just crazy, folks. The Diddy thing, people are nervous. You have all these big stars and so on and so forth, completely deleting the social media and so on and so forth because they all went to these parties with Diddy, and I'm sure he's got, he's going to spill the beans on everybody. I would not be surprised if he didn't get, Clinton cited or whatever they call it, in the jail. Oops, hung himself. We just happened to have the cameras off for 5 minutes, and the guards forgot to check on him, and he hung himself during that one little window, and it's perfectly normal and isn't, right? No. I would not be surprised. A lot of wealthy, powerful people at risk with him in there if he starts to talk. So, let's see. Trump was very nice checking out of the grocery store, and a woman was checking out with 3 kids, and he paid for her bill. That was nice. I heard the Democrats complain about that. Somehow this is illegal or something. I don't know. They complain about everything. I'm just reading through the news here to see if there's anything else we need to cover tonight. Yeah, Trump went after Kamala Harris and Oprah Winfrey for that interview. That was just so cringy, and you could tell that Oprah Winfrey's like, oh God, I had no idea this woman was such an idiot. Yeah, and not many people watched it. Trump was on Gutfeld, and like 5 million people watched it. And I think only just a handful of people watched this Oprah thing. Thank God for that. As far as Kamala is concerned, that not many people saw it. We want to win the Senate. Looks like Tester is doing very poorly there, and Tim Sheehy. Tim Sheehy is a great candidate. He's former military, young guy, handsome, movie star, good looks, great personality. He's up against big old fat John Tester. It's not much of a competition, so I think he's going to pick up that seat. And also, Montana is super red. How can we not? So. That's good. Tim Sheehy going to win in Montana, I'm pretty sure. Let me see if there's anything else, anything in the world that's exploded since I started talking to you here. Trump is up 1 point in a new Q poll. I don't trust these guys. yeah, I think that's pretty much a wrap. So anyway, this show is going to be on Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. And the way I do this is I pre-tape this. Why? Because stuff goes wrong, and it's hard to go live. Also, I want to show the show at 9, and I have other things to do at 9 o'clock occasionally. I don't want to be here every night at 9 o'clock. So what I do is I pre-tape it, and then I use some technology to actually stream it to you live in quotes, at 9 p.m. every night. Now the benefit of that is that if I am here, and I am going to be like 80 to 90% of the time, if I am here, and I can go into the chat room, the text chat, and I can chat with you as you're watching me. And we used to do that on Periscope, and people would say, "Bill, you're talking. How are you typing?" It's like, well, because I was talking 2 or 3 hours ago, and I'm typing now. That's how it works. So if you know how to use the technology, so you don't have to be live for it to be live. And I'm sure that a lot of the shows that you see on X Live are pre-taped, because it just makes more sense, especially interviews and that sort of thing. It's almost impossible to line up one interview after another, and get it off live. So and also people that are being guests, famous guests, don't like to be live because stuff goes wrong. Nothing's worse than, if you're using Skype or something like that, you're in the mid-sentence and you're like, frozen for 5 minutes on the screen, looking like a complete moron. Nobody likes that. So if people, famous guests don't like to be live if they can avoid it. So now we will, and I will, occasionally, maybe like on a Sunday night or something, we'll have an Ask Me Anything show where I really actually will be live, and you can make comments in the chat, and I will respond to you. And that way, and I can have a guest on, you can ask questions and so on and so forth. So we will do that at least once a week where it's like super duper live, yeah. But once again, the benefit of pre-taping is that I can do more guests, and also it's just easier for me. I can actually have, it's hard to always be available at 9 o'clock at night. I'm a little worn out by 9 o'clock at night. It's been a long day. A lot of work and doing what I do, so I'm ready to cash it in. So, but that's the best time to stream because you get the East Coast, you get the West Coast, you get everybody in there. So, anyway, that's it, guys. Like I said, if you want to keep up on the news, I'm going to have consolidations, like a 2-paragraph consolidation of all the breaking news stories that you could possibly care about. Check my feed. Just stop by a couple of times a day. If you want to see it, it'll save you a lot of time reading the internet and so on and so forth. I'll give you my spin on it. We got a nice little infographic there. We got some videos and so on and so forth. As we go through Twitter, if I see any other interesting videos, what I'll do is I'll capture that video, put it in our format, put it out there, give you my commentary on it. So yeah, it's good. And don't count on X just showing you my posts, because sadly they won't. A lot, very often. Put me on a list. One of the great things I have my favorite people on a list. And when I go and I want to see what people are saying, I just click on the list and it gives me everything that everybody said. Or you can put people on notifications where it goes like bing, or whatever. Now on your, desktop or whatever, you can make it so it doesn't make a noise every time you do it, because it'll be like bing, 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 all day long, drive you crazy. But you can see what people have said, or you can subscribe, and that is, that's helpful. You subscribe to my feed; it's like $2 a month, and we will start adding, special things, like maybe on the Ask Me Anything, that it'll be where only my subscribers can ask questions or something. We'll figure it out. But anyway, right now we just want as many people to have a chance to see and talk and everything like that as possible. So I guess that's a wrap for tonight. Love you guys. Thank you for watching and checking out my X feed. And we've got the technology now where we'll be able to stream this to YouTube. We'll be able to stream it to Facebook. We'll be able to stream it to X. Everything all at the same time. Magic. Just push a button. Okay, guys, that's it. We will see you again soon.